So it has been another grueling week in the life of our country, which culminated yesterday in the confirmation of Brett Kavanaugh as the Supreme Court's 114th justice, despite serious concerns about his honesty, his temperament, and his treatment of women. Another grueling week, which saw thousands of protesters in Washington and millions around the country protesting the fact that their bodies and stories are not being respected, not being believed. Grueling, in that we also saw the story spun in a way that was calculated to enrage the conservatives of our country. That story being one of a politics of personal destruction that ended up ruining a good man's name. Our country is full of collisions, has been full and is even fuller than before. So how dare I even touch my topic for today, which is gratitude? When the problems feel so big, what is there to be grateful for? Doesn't gratitude at a time like this even smack of self-indulgence? Well, I want to invite your attention to something that happened at the U.S. Capitol last Friday morning after Senator Jeff Flake announced his support for Kavanaugh. Senator Flake was in an elevator about to ride away when two sexual assault survivors confronted him on video. They blocked those elevator doors. They had their say. Their names are Ana Maria Archila and Maria Gallagher. Here is a part of what they said. Ana Maria. On Monday, I stood in front of your office. I told the story of my sexual assault. I told it because I recognized in Dr. Ford's story that she is telling the truth. What you are doing is allowing someone who actually violated a woman to sit on the Supreme Court. That is not tolerable. You have children in your family. Think about them. I have 2 children. I cannot imagine that for the next 50 years, they will have to have someone in the Supreme Court who has been accused of violating a young girl. What are you doing, sir? Maria Gallagher. I was sexually assaulted, and nobody believed me. I didn't tell anyone. And you're telling all women that they don't matter, that they should just stay quiet, because if they tell you what happened to them, you are going to ignore them. That's what happened to me. And that's what you are telling all women in America, that they don't matter. They should just keep it to themselves, because if they have told the truth, you're just going to help that man to power anyway. That is what you're telling all these women. That's what you're telling me right now. Look at me when I'm talking to you. You are telling me that my assault does not matter, that what happened to me doesn't, and that you're going to let people who do these things into power. That's what you're telling me when you vote for him. Don't look away from me. Look at me and tell me that it doesn't matter what happened to me. That you will let people that like that go into the Supreme Court, the highest court of the land, and tell everyone what they can do with their bodies. That is a part of what they said. It would be for them one of the first times they had ever publicly shared their experience of sexual assault. They did that out of gratitude to Dr. Christine Blasey Ford's courage in doing the same. And we know what happened later. Senator Flake surprised everybody by calling for a week-long independent FBI investigation of those charges against Kavanaugh. Now, I know there are serious questions about this investigation and its effectiveness, but it was something. And he was moved to change his mind by these 2 brave women, and I am grateful. I am grateful to these women for saying repeatedly, do not look away. Are you grateful for them too? Now, I want you to hold on to that feeling of gratitude. I want you to breathe into that gratitude. Deepen into that feeling of gratitude for those 2 beautiful, strong, powerful women. What is the energy of gratitude? What work does it do in our lives? And for one thing, it creates hope. Someone has said that even the smallest boat can ride rough waters if none of that water gets inside. Gratitude is what bails the water out and keeps the inside of that boat dry. Gratitude is what makes for psychological buoyancy. In a time when the waters of our nation are incredibly rough, hearing what those women did makes me feel like our little boat isn't going to sink. That hope is not lost. That maybe we lost this fight, but that does not tell the story about who's going to win the war and who is going to lose. Gratitude is powerful. It's also powerful because it reminds us, second of all, that the work of justice, it's not on our shoulders alone. Remember the words of the Reverend Ralph Helverson that we heard earlier. We have religion when we stop deluding ourselves that we are self-sufficient, self-sustaining, or self-derived. Gratitude towards those two powerful women means that we honestly acknowledge that we cannot do this work alone. We cannot be everywhere all at once. We have to count upon others. We have to trust others. Anna Maria Archila and Maria Gallagher, they were in the right place at the right time, and they said those words that needed to be said, and we can trust that there will be others who will do the same if it's not us. Now, did you notice, by the way, how the two women did what they did out of gratitude to Dr. Christine Blasey Ford's testimony? Did you notice that? Which suggests yet a third way that gratitude is powerful. It inspires generosity. They were moved to give their gift of witness because Dr. Ford did. When we are helped and feel thankful for it, we effortlessly offer help to others. There are scientific studies that actually demonstrate this. In her amazing book, Active Hope, Joanna Macy shares some of the research of American psychologist Alice Eason. It's back from the 1970s, so her experimental setup includes a form of technology that is going to sound a little strange to some of you here in the congregation, payphones that you put coins in to use. Does that feel like a million years ago? Whoa, you never see those things anymore. Well, in this experiment, coins were left in public phone booths so that the next person using the booth would get a free call, right? When the person had finished and was leaving that phone booth, one of the experimenters appeared to accidentally drop a big file of papers just in front of the subject. Now, the process was repeated near phone booths that had not been primed with coins. Now, people who received the unexpected lucky gift of a free phone call were much more likely to help the experimenter pick up her papers. The people who did not receive the unexpected free phone call, nobody helped. Joanna Macy concludes, this experiment and a host of others suggests that our willingness to act on behalf of others isn't just attributable to some people being good-natured and others less so. Our readiness to help others is influenced by the level of gratitude we experience. Now, I hope by now your mind has changed about what I had suggested earlier, that feeling gratitude in a time like this is self-indulgent. I hope nobody is going there by this point. A bit of gratitude goes a long way, and that way is beyond our isolated egos. And it is towards loving connection with something larger than ourselves. Love persists despite all. When we hold on to a hope that is beyond ourselves, when we trust others, and when we are generous. There is a reason why gratitude is at the center of the spiritual life. It is not something that comes after everything else as an afterthought. It comes first, and from it, all good things flow. So now we turn to the question of how to practice gratitude. And it is the question that looms large in the story for all ages that we heard a little bit ago, the happy man's shirt. that old Italian folk tale. It introduces us to a king and a queen of a prosperous kingdom, but it so happens that the king finds himself irritable and angry all the time. The queen is relentless in her investigation as to why. Is he physically sick? No, say all the doctors from near and far away. And then one doctor does raise his voice and pronounces the king a victim of melancholia, which is a sickness of heart and spirit. And then the doctor prescribes the cure. Find a shirt of a truly happy person. Take it from him, put it on the king, problem solved. Hearing this, the king goes, whoa, that's easy. But is it? Well, as easy as retail therapy, right? And we know how quickly the good feelings from retail therapy vanish away. It's not going to be effective in healing the king's melancholia, or anybody's melancholia for that matter. The story drives the point home as it ends with the discovery of the truly happy man, whom we hear to say, I am grateful for everything that I have, and I do not desire what I cannot have. This man wears no shirt at all. The king and everyone must learn how to generate happiness, gratitude within themselves. The key, the real key, is learning how to express appreciative attention out into the world, to do this regularly, to do this reliably. And I want to share with you one of my favorite poems from Mary Oliver entitled The Summer's Day, a beautiful illustration of appreciative attention. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? I mean, this grasshopper. This one, who has flung herself out of the grass. This one, who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms, thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields. This is what I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last, and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan on doing with your one wild and precious life? That's the poem. Gratitude is like electricity. Gratitude is like an electricity that builds and builds. The more one attends to what is actually happening around oneself, leaving nothing out. Mary Oliver is 83 years old right now. She's still alive. And she lives in an America where Kavanaugh has been confirmed as a Supreme Court justice, and that hurts. But that is not going to stop her from attending to the miracle of a grasshopper on her hand, eating sugar, moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down. That grasshopper who is gazing at the world with enormous and complicated eyes. It is a bit like the proverbial fish learning how to become more aware of the water that surrounds it, which proverbial fish are supposed to take for granted, right? It is reversing that. It is looking again at your old world with new eyes and paying attention. It doesn't have to take the form of poetry. It doesn't have to be about grasshoppers in nature. One beautiful gratitude-raising activity can happen, for example, around the dinner table. Each person seated around the table is invited to share one thing for which they are grateful. It can be for that day, that week, or just in general. Sometimes folks can go around that table a second time and they can play off of or build on what the others have shared. This is a great gratitude-raising practice. And if you do it, you will feel that electricity building, which will lift your spirit, which will give it buoyancy. give it a sense of connection to something larger. Or try this. Learn more of the story. Learning about those two women confronting Jeff Flake in the elevator added for me a precious detail, a precious positive detail to that whole sad, sordid story about Kavanaugh's confirmation process. And we need to hear those details. We need to hear the rest of the story. But one's quest to learn more, it can be about anything, anything. For example, I want you to take the case of your skin. Your skin. Religious scholar Neil Douglas Klotz writes about this. He says, "It has been found that the skin and the brain develop from the same primary tissue layer in the fetus, the primary ectoderm. As this layer unfolds, it begins to contact the larger universe through the skin in order to organize the inside nervous system. That is, the organization of our neural pathways inside our bodies seems to proceed from outside in rather than inside out. This means that in our touching and our feeling and our sensing and making sounds, the infant is, in large part, attempting to organize our nervous systems through contact with out-there-ness. This model also accounts, he continues, for the common but unexplained phenomena of infants wasting away due to touch starvation. The so-called sensory malnutrition prevents the nervous system from properly organizing itself by cutting off contact with the rest of the universe." Now, I want you to listen to that, a direct brain-skin connection. I had no idea. This revelation makes me look at my skin with different eyes now, grateful eyes. From now on, when there is an infant among us in this space, and that infant is just wriggling away and making noise and perhaps being a distraction, we may just need to pause for a moment and acknowledge a holy moment that is happening. A child is attempting to organize its inside nervous system from the outside in, right? Through what the skin is experiencing, through what they're feeling on that skin. That is amazing. And as with skin, so with everything, everything has hidden depths which are ready to amaze if we are willing to take a closer look, to be more curious. Every story we hear has more to the telling if we lean in. And the resulting astonishment and awe that will well up within us like electricity. It will be like a pressure that moves us to ask, with Mary Oliver, doesn't everything die at last and end too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Despite all the problems in our world, so many gifts from so many directions are coming to us to sustain us, to bring us to this very moment here and now. And if we are paying attention with gratitude in our hearts, we must ask of ourselves, all right, what will my gift back to the world be? In the face of injustice, who must I confront? To whom must I say, do not look away? In the face of beauty, how must I pay attention? What must the form of my attention be? What must my praise look like? In the face of what I just think I know, how will I look deeper? How will I come away amazed? Never forget the life that you have been given. It is wild and it is precious. What will your gift back to this world in this time be?